Thank you very much, Martha. Good morning, friends. I hope you've all had a great summer and that you've made the most of the outstanding weather. I was lucky enough to get from one end of Scotland to the other over the summer. And, of course, if there's one place in Scotland where you can guarantee the sun will be shining, I'm told it's right here on Leith. Everywhere I've been, I'm hearing the same message from people. Times are tough, but there's also much to celebrate in our country and a huge amount that is going well. I've set a clear goal for the SNP and government to focus on people's priorities. That's why in our health service, the number of GPs is up, the number of hospital operations is up, child poverty in Scotland is falling as it rises across the rest of the UK. Our young people are achieving outstanding exam results. And on Monday, we abolished peak rail fares, not just for a few months, but forever. That is the SNP standing up for Scotland. SNP policies are making people's lives better, but there can be no doubt that Westminster is making their lives worse. Far too many people are struggling to get by. Years of flatlining living standards have taken their toll. Our answer as a party and a government is to work even harder to give real grounds for hope for a better future and for a better Scotland. At Westminster, there's a different response. Not to work harder for people, not to deliver action on the cost of living or in public services, but instead, as Martha just said, to scramble around looking for anyone to blame but themselves for the problems that they have helped to create. Over the summer, the language in Westminster around immigration and asylum has been utterly chilling. Politicians calling for mass deportations. They demand that we pull out of international human rights treaties. No one seems to be ringing the alarm bell. Well, I am. I'm ringing the alarm bell for our values, for our common humanity, for our commitment to the oppressed and for those seeking sanctuary. Friends, let us join with others in saying unequivocally, our saltire is a flag of welcome and refugees are welcome here in Scotland. When it comes to immigration, I can't imagine there are many people in Scotland who've not been cared for or treated in hospital or in social care by someone who was not born in Scotland. Let us thank those coming from overseas who choose to make Scotland their home and contribute so much to our community here in Scotland. And at a time when our health service is in need of more and more staff, and Westminster is demonising migrants, it's not just disgraceful, it's harming our most precious public service, and we will have no part in it. Westminster politicians believe they know what is best for Scotland. Well, I'll tell you what I believe. I believe it is the people who live in Scotland who know what is best for Scotland. They have a right to determine what their future should look like. Today, we are here to make the case for Scottish self-determination. And we're here to make clear that giving people a choice over their future has never been more important, more urgent, or more necessary. At this crucial fork in our history, we need to look carefully at the two very different futures facing us. Westminster has failed to deliver higher living standards. People are working harder than ever, but still struggle to make ends meet year after year after year. Whether we support independence or not, all of us want the best for Scotland. But as First Minister, when I look at the direction of travel of the UK, under Labour, under Tory, or as is looking increasingly likely, Nigel Farage, I would not be doing my duty were I not to offer people a very different choice. Today, the Scottish Government has published a paper setting out the case for democracy. For the whole of my adult life, I've believed that our future is best served as an independent country. And over the next few months, we will be arguing with all of our strength the case for Scotland to aspire to be like Ireland, like Denmark, like Norway, countries just like us that are wealthier and fairer than the UK. For me, the case for Scottish independence is self-evident. Others, of course, take a different view, and they are entitled to that different view. But today's paper is about all of us. It's about our collective right to debate, to discuss, and then to decide as a nation. So the paper sets out, the UK government have consistently stated that the UK is a voluntary union of nations. In Wales, the Labour government agree that Wales's future should be a matter for the people who live there. In Northern Ireland, a provision exists in the Good Friday Agreement for the Secretary of State to call a vote if they believe there is support for a united Ireland. And of course, England can become independent any time it wants if a majority of English MPs at Westminster vote for it. So there you have it. The UK is a voluntary union of nations. Well, that's except for viewers in Scotland. In the news where we are, a very different message is being broadcast. A regional opt-out is being applied on democracy. Well, friends, Scotland is not a region, Scotland is a nation. As today's paper sets out, for decades, politicians on all sides agreed that Scotland's future was a matter for people in Scotland. Funnily enough, they started to cool on that idea just at the point where it looks like we might pick the future that they don't want us to pick. Well, you can't just support democracy when it suits you. If you're not prepared to countenance getting an answer from the people that you don't want, then you cannot call yourself a Democrat. Westminster politicians may try to shut down this debate, but they know that the arc of history is against them. Among Scotland's people, there exists unwavering support for the basic principle of fairness, a resolute belief that if Scotland wants a say over her own future, then Scotland shall have one. At this pivotal moment in our story as a country, as our world changes rapidly around us, and as Westminster moves ever further away from the daily priorities of people in Scotland, let us come together and demand a say over our future as a country. By 2030, there'll be 1 million young Scots eligible to vote who were too young in 2014. Some of them were not even born then. That seems like a generation to me. More than anyone else, Scotland's future is their future, and they deserve to be heard. That 2014 referendum took place following a majority SNP win in the 2011 election. That's the precedent, and that's what I'm determined to repeat. Now, this is not about me or the SNP or any politician. It's about the people of Scotland. And to the people of Scotland, I believe this can be a rallying declaration that Scotland is a nation, that we affirm that every nation has the right to choose her own future. We choose a future where Scotland decides her own government. We choose to build secure homes and strong communities where people and families can thrive. We choose to use our vast renewable wealth to lower bills and build prosperity. We choose to protect our National Health Service and public services for the generations to come. We choose to take our rightful place in Europe among the nations of the world. We choose to be a society where everyone has the chance to contribute and to belong. We resolve that Scotland's future must be guided by the will of the people who live here, to place choice, fairness and democracy at the heart of our national journey. This is our pledge our right and our opportunity to write the next chapter in Scotland's story together. That's the right to decide, and that is our declaration today. Thank you very much.